IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashtin Doctor, your habit coach, and today with me we have a very special guest. And we're going to be talking about something that has been very near and dear to my heart because a lot of my friends are going through this and experiencing this. And we're going to be talking about PCOS, PCOD, and understanding that this is not something that is only for our female listeners, but also for our male listeners. And if you don't know what PCOS or PCOD is, this is exactly the reason why I wanted to do a podcast on it. It is not one of those things that is commonly spoken about, and hence there's a lot of misunderstanding around it. So today with me, I have Nidhi Singh, who is the founder of PCOS Club India. And as soon as I heard this and we reached out to each other on Instagram, I said, I must do a podcast with you on this because I want to, educate or at least tell the world what PCOS is, what PCOD is. Nidhi, welcome to the Habit Coach podcast.
Thank you, Ashin. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here today.
I'm very excited to have you here because I love the fact that you've called it a club, right? You just normalized the whole thing. Because as soon as you say, oh, it's a disease, it's an illness, it suddenly becomes so bigger than life, right? So, Nidhi, just tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you start this PCOS club? What was the reason for it?
It's amazing, Ashin. I never thought that I would be here talking about this disorder. I was one of those girls who used to, was very, very career motivated, wanted to achieve so much in their corporate bank. I pursued my MBA from University of Birmingham in UK. Okay. And I came back in 2014 back to India with a zeal and motivation to do lots more in the corporate world. Okay. Lovely. And I was doing pretty well. I was traveling around the world. I was, doing everything what I wanted. But there was one thing that never left me were these PCOS symptoms. Now, when I was back in UK that time, because you're so active, in India, that the kind of lifestyle that we have is very different from what you have outside.
Correct.
I was pretty active. My symptoms were not really that much. But when I came back, a lot of things changed in terms of my personal relationships, my career. There were very underlying major factors, which were, sort of disturbing my sleep, the way I was eating, the way I was practically living.
Correct.
And throughout my career, there were a lot of, diseases that I was prone to. I got dengue. I got really frequent allergies. The immunity levels were not really great. So I realized that there's something wrong and I need to start taking these symptoms very, very seriously. And all these while, my menstruation was rock bottom. There was no periods at all at one point, and I was definitely not giving any heed to these symptoms. And when I went to the gynecologist, she handed me over a contraceptive pill, which is actually a first line of defense towards this disease. Usually, nobody would talk about that. Okay, I will not give you a pill, but lifestyle change is something that you have to do.
Correct.
Surprisingly, even more, I was not even too much high on a BMI. She asked me to lose weight, and my parents were like, "How much will you lose weight? It shouldn't be a problem." So I was running around the circles with my symptoms for about 3 years and so. And at one point, I was struggling with body image issues. I had stopped taking some assignments at work where I had to travel. I stopped going to office. I used to work remotely because of my allergies and so. And then I realized that, this is not it. I cannot go on with these symptoms. And I started my own research. And I started to look on to international communities who were talking very openly about how these lifestyle changes need to be made. While there was no such platform, which is patient-led, where women are very, comfortable enough to talk about it. Not only women, but other people who are supporting those women, their family members. And to my surprise, it was very easy. It was very easy to manage symptoms once I got a hold of it.
Exactly.
And all I needed to work was on my sleep. Some more time than usual you have to give to yourself to do yoga, to eat well, to pick the right groceries, So you have to take health in your hands. But after I knew it, it was pretty easy. So that's when I realized that, there needs to be a platform where women are not struggling like me for years and years. And as soon as they are diagnosed, they know what to do.
Yes.
And I can help as much women as I want. So I wanted to reach out more and more women. Then I created this Instagram page, which was not a community before. It was just like, let's talk PCOS, where I used to put my smoothie recipes. I used to just talk I used to put anything that I wanted as a positive message. And there was amazing response from girls. And they were like, Nidhi, I want to know more. I want to know about this. I want to know about how you manage your, healthy routine. And I didn't even realize in 4 to 5 months, it's transformed into a community page on its own.
Yes.
And I was spending more time on this community rather than my work, which I was so motivated before. And January this year, I gave up my job just before COVID happened. I gave up my job to do full time, serve this community and spend more time with the girls personally, like one-on-one, that how they can, change their lifestyle and manage symptoms. So that's how it started.
So beautiful. But, Nidhi, explain what PCOS and PCOD is for people who don't know it.
Okay. So PCOS, it's called polycystic ovarian syndrome. PCOD was an earlier name given to it. There is no formal name change yet happened, but now the terms are used interchangeably.
Okay.
What PCOS suggests that you have to have cysts on your ovaries. 12 or more follicles in your ovaries. But that is more than the cysts. Unfortunately, the name as it suggests that you should have cysts, women who do not have cysts can also have PCOS. And women who have cysts, they might not have PCOS.
Okay.
So, so that's another conversation and the science which is working on the different names right now. But this is one of the myths that I keep talking about, that you don't have to have cysts to have PCOS. Okay. So what PCOS means is that firstly, if you have 2 of the 3 observations, firstly, if you have 12 or more follicles, or if you're using an advanced ultrasound technology, it would be 20 follicles, or you have hyperandrogenism. That means you have very high male androgens hormones in your body, which lead to facial hair growth, scalp-like hair loss, lots of hair on your back and stomach, something like a man-like hair growth on your body.
Correct.
And thirdly is menstrual dysfunction, which means your menstrual cycle would not be a normal cycle. What is a normal cycle? Something like at least a 35-day cycle.
Okay.
So if you're having really high, heavy bleeding, or you are not having a regular period, that means then you are susceptible to be a PCOS patient. So you don't have to have all of these 3, at least 2 of them, as I said.
Okay, so it's interesting. So the actual symptoms are different from the cyst aspect of it. And we need to start at least becoming more cognizant, or at least more aware of these kinds of symptoms. They could be happening to yourself. They could be happening to your sister, your mother, anybody in the house, correct? So how do you start at least beginning to have this conversation with people? How do you normalize this? Because, as soon as it becomes gender-led, it becomes only 50% of the population, right? We need to make everybody comfortable about talking about this instead of, trying to feel awkward or running away in the opposite direction. So how do you go about making people comfortable discussing this?
That's my first aim when I started this community, normalizing the discussion. And I'll tell you my personal experience. Okay. In my household, when I was living with my parents before my marriage, talking about periods was not very, normal. I would only talk to my mother or my sister. I was blessed to have 2 ladies in the house. But when I had PCOS, when I got married, the symptoms got worse. Obviously, my partner had to know about it. He was the first person. And there was a big role, I would say, my partner had in my journey, because he made me comfortable. And he sometimes brought the conversation to the table with my in-laws on the dinner table that, these are the symptoms that, Nidhi is suffering from. Because, as a PCOS patient, it is very, very common to get body shamed if you're losing a lot of weight or you're gaining a lot of weight.
Yes.
So PCOS is very tricky. You can lose also a lot of weight and you gain a lot of weight. And you know how the culture it is that tu to moti ho gayi hai, tere muh pe te pimple kyun hai? And especially more when you're married. Like, why are you getting so dark? All these things are really...
You're letting yourself go now that you're married. All those things start coming up.
And they, as a woman, they stay in your heart. When you go to sleep, you will think about all of this. Maybe you're losing your sleep over this, you know. All of this is so connected. So a big role was played with, you know, my partner being as supportive in my journey and obviously educating him. Google is just the way you can start learning, but it's not the end product. Like sometimes it will show you that you can have cancer. That's not true.
All symptoms on Google lead to cancer. It is like the craziest thing. So please stop. Like you said, starting point, but definitely not ending point.
Yeah. So if somebody even searches PCOS somewhere, you will say that you could have cancer. Yes, you could have if you stop your, you know, managing your symptoms, obviously. So once you manage it, it'll be okay. And I started educating my husband, and then I realized, as more and more I read, that everybody in India, you can say 1 in 7 or 8 people has diabetes.
Correct.
Okay. So that gene somewhere, I know, Ashton, you don't agree with the gene concept, but what I feel is that at least you're exposed to that bad gene somewhere. And obviously our lifestyles, when you are just letting it go, you're even exposing more of your bad lifestyle and the genes to get susceptible to that disorder.
Yes.
So if everybody talks about diabetes, the children whose parents have this gene of thyroid or diabetes are more susceptible to get PCOS. That's what the science also says. Then why are we not talking about it? Why do the parents do not know that my child could have PCOS?
Correct.
So I started that conversation with my father one day, very casually, that, Papa, I started this community, and you know, because you have diabetes, we are also somewhere susceptible, and there's so many girls who could be like me. So we need to normalize this discussion. So I used to also post some small videos of me having that conversation with my father, so that,
sweet.
You know, women can feel normal about it. It's just once you have to take that step. And sometimes it's just inside you that, oh, Papa kya sochenge, Mummy kya sochengi.
Correct.
Just let it go, you know. Just try it once. What will happen? Your parents only think like good of you, and they will make you feel comfortable. So that's how I feel that you can start those conversations, and it's quite very important now to have those discussions.
Correct. And you just have to like get comfortable with talking about your periods to people. Correct. And I know that it happens with age as well. Like I remember in college, all my friends were so conscious about it. But as we start growing older, everyone's a little bit more free about talking about it. But the earlier you can start talking about it, the better the conversations can be. And like you said, you know, you start off by researching on Google, but that's not the end point. Conversations are what actually make a difference, because you have to realize that you're not the only person going through this. Maybe 3-4 of your friends are also going through this, but you all just haven't spoken about it. So conversations bring this change around, and which is why it's so important.
I just wanted to add one point that unfortunately in the tier 2 or 3 cities where, you know, just the culture is such that you're not very opened up with your parents or in-laws in terms of this conversation. I think what you can start with is just having that free conversations with women around you. I have noticed that women do not speak to each other as well.
Correct.
So even if it is your mother, your buas, your aunts or whoever, at least you get that support, if not men, you know. So that is what I wanted to add.
Very important point. Correct? Because you have to create your own community, just like you're doing on Instagram. You have to create your own community, your own support system of your friends or women in your life who are close to you. Right? Absolutely. And to add to the whole diabetes point of view, like we said that we disagreed on the whole genes thing. And I remember saying that like we're definitely going to talk about this, because what happens when we immediately say genes is that we quickly say one to hone wala hi hai, because that's the first thought that goes in our mind. So that means that we've almost relegated all the control we have to the fact that I'm going to get it. So which is why I don't like talking about genes in terms of these kinds of, which are more lifestyle kind of issues as well. The second aspect is that as soon as you blame your genes, you don't necessarily take the steps that you should be. And what is important between diabetes and PCOS is they're both metabolic syndromes, right? They are a function of too much in, too little out in terms of your energy, in terms of the way that consumption is taking place, etc.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Correct. So both diabetes and PCOS have similar starting points, which is why they're so closely linked with each other. But is it genes? Maybe. But as soon as we relegate saying that it is genes, it becomes very, very hard for us to take a step and saying, now I will, disprove my genes. Correct? It's like almost once you say genes, it's like saying that my eyes are brown, tomorrow I'll make it blue. Can't happen. So that's why we should leave genes to color of hair, color of eyes, etc. But all the stuff that we can control, definitely not. So like my dad has diabetes, right? Am I ever going to get diabetes? I'm making sure I never get diabetes, right? I'm not saying family mein hai. That is the way that I like to approach it. And guys have done podcasts on this in the past, which is don't blame your genes. And no puns intended on your pants. But, so we need to start getting into this habit of making these conversations about genes and saying that, I'm in control. And as soon as you say I'm in control of my life and my lifestyle, you can start making changes.
Yeah.
And I think this comes very, very nicely into the next point that I want to talk about, which is what are the starting points for changes, right? For people, where do the changes start for their life when they want to make sure, A, they never get PCOS, or how do they reverse it?
So Ashin, one thing that I will start with is never go for a diet plan.
Okay.
90% of women, first thing that what comes to their mind is lifestyle change karna hai, diet plan karte hain. Let's look for a diet plan. And that's where half the mistake is done.
Okay.
Because lifestyle is much more than what you eat. If you notice, you have about 20,000 thoughts coming into your mind every day. What do you do about it? That is the way you live. You think, you sleep, you eat, you run, or you walk. So diet is one part of it. What about the other environment? Your relationships, your emotional well-being. Okay, how are you spending your time with yourself? So what I usually say is that never go for a diet plan. Instead, meal planning. Plan your meals in advance. Pick groceries mindfully and cook and eat local and seasonal. In fact, what your grandma or your mother cooked in the house.
Correct.
So stop junk, stop processed foods, eat ghar ka khana, eat local, eat seasonal, and somewhere give your body some break in terms of if you've been very sedentary in your lifestyle, do some fasting. Now, intermittent fasting kind of thing is very, very, famous right now in the social media. But what I mean from fasting standpoint is in our culture, our Indian culture, we have been taught to fast at various point of seasons in our, the whole year. That's the whole point, to keep detoxing. So probably in a week, 1 or 2 days, you can opt to fast, or you can take just a 12-hour fast between dinner and breakfast. That gives you enough time for your body to heal itself. So your meal is sorted here, nothing more. So eat local, seasonal, and ghar ka khana.
So to recap, the first thing is get rid of all the processed food. Get rid of all the junk food. Guys, if you just do this for the first month, you're going to see such a big difference from just this. If it came in a package, don't eat it. Right? For 1 month, just don't eat anything that comes out of a package. Don't eat anything that has sugar in it. Correct? These two things will already give you that little dramatic step forward. Then to boost it, like you said, eat your local vegetables. Eat your local stuff. Try finding organic food. Try finding food that is grown by local farmers. Try using that. That is again the next boosting step. And finally, like you said, add a little bit of fasting onto it. Fasting matlab, what are you doing? We're giving our body a break from the food, right? Like I said in a few minutes ago, if these diseases are functions of overconsumption, fasting is teaching you how to bring your consumption down, which is why fasting is so important. And I've done tons of episodes on fasting. So please listen to those. And like you said, there are seasons for fasting. It's always been a part of our Indian culture. As long as you're not doing those silly sabudana khichdi fasts and those ones that a fast means no food, not I can eat sabudana, I can eat sev, I can eat Ferrari chivda. As long as you're not doing that, fasting is brilliant. All right, Nidhi. Sorry, go ahead.
Second is very, very important that even health practitioners overlook are the nutritional deficiencies.
Okay.
So in the world that we're living in, especially in the pandemic times, you're not getting enough sun, right? And vitamin D and B12 deficiencies are very, very common these days. And it stops from your natural healing. Even if you're doing everything in terms of your good diet and exercises, vitamin D can actually limit your healing. So make sure that you're supplementing. So there's certain supplements. Obviously, I'm not propagating that you go and buy it on Amazon as soon as you hear from me right now. Take your consultation with health practitioner, but talk about these supplements, which are vitamin D. There's inositol, which helps, because I will tell you, Ashin, what happens is that when a health practitioner tells you that you change your lifestyle, a very, very common medicine that they still give is the diabetic medicine, which is a metformin to control your insulin.
Yes.
And very few people know is that a long-term usage of metformin can lead to B12 deficiencies, and there are other side effects as well. So resort to as natural supplements as you can take, and make sure that you are checking your iron levels, vitamin D, B12. So you're well supported.
Love it.
Third one is enough said, but good sleep. Now it's a catch-22. If you are deficient in some nutrients, your sleep might be affected. And Ashin, you're the best person to even talk about it. So again, sleep is something that you have to make sure you're getting enough sleep, at least of 7 hours, and in line with your circadian rhythm.
Correct.
So these three things I feel are the topmost. And of course, being active. Active doesn't mean that you have to hit the gym. It means anything that makes your happy hormones, you're pumped up, you feel energized. Some people blindly follow HIIT training and they feel so lethargic after it.
Yes.
Find an activity which is good for you, which you enjoy. It could be dancing. It could be, I've worked with women where I've told them that if you like traditional, Indian cultural dance, why don't you take it up as a hobby? So I'm just saying that, what is that one thing that will connect you back? So I love yoga. I would take different classes of yoga to learn different forms so that I keep motivated to go to that class. That what will I get out of it? I learned a new thing, anything that can make you feel active. I would like to also tell you here something, that there has been research about what kind of activities in terms of fitness helps women with PCOS. So it's a combination of a cardio and vigorous training and relaxation. Okay, so there needs to be a strength-based exercise which helps you fight your insulin resistance and build a good muscle, which is very, very important. Combined with cardio. When I say cardio, it doesn't have to be again going on a treadmill. You can go for a light walk. And yoga in terms of self-care and relaxation, and it helps you to maintain your emotional well-being. So I think I covered a lot of aspects here in the fitness category only.
Correct. Yeah. It's so beautiful because one is you're talking about food, correct? Then you're talking about the nutritional deficiencies. After that, you started talking about sleep, which is so important. And like you said, nutritional deficiencies can also cause sleep deficiencies. So for example, magnesium is a supplement that is so important if you want to start getting your sleep in order. Magnesium glycinate, primarily in the evenings, if you're having it, will actually help your sleep out a lot more. Similarly, when you start going into exercise, why muscle building exercise is important. And this is so critical because muscle is metabolic tissue, correct? And if this is a metabolic illness, we need more metabolic tissue to help it out. What it does is it stores more sugar. It also helps increase the movement patterns that we have. So it's very critical to build muscle. Now, I know as soon as, we say build muscle, in people's mind, they're saying, no, I don't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? And guys, you're not going to end up looking like a bodybuilder if you just try a little weight training, okay? They have to work so hard in order to look like that. You have no idea how many hours they spend in the gym. So you're not going to ever look like that. But you do need muscle. And, I say the same thing when we're talking about diabetes or not, because with muscle and with age, you start losing muscle. Anytime beyond the age of 30, you start losing muscle. It's called sarcopenia. So you need to start putting it on so that as you age, you still have good quality muscle on you. And like you said, cardio is so important. But cardio is not just go for a walk or run on a treadmill mindlessly. Try adding cardio like also climbing up stairs. That boosts this completely. So what I normally tell people is if they're used to going for a walk, go for your walk. And then for 5 minutes after that, just climb up and down the stairs. I don't care how many stairs you climb, how many flights you climb, but for 5 minutes, climb up and down slowly. And that itself boosts your sugar levels and everything to a far more manageable degree in your body. So I think this way of training really makes a difference. And Nidhi, you hit the nail on the head. Everything should not be high intensity interval training. Everything is not go hard, go home. Correct? Because a large part of what we are going through is stress on the body. Correct? A function of PCOS is that the body is stressed. Now, if you stress it even further with your HIIT training constantly, you're not giving it that break that's required. And that relaxation is so important, like you said, maybe yoga or something else. And the only one thing I would add to this, which is what you covered in the beginning, but didn't add to the list, which is nutritious thoughts. Right? We spoke about nutritious food, nutritious thoughts. How is our mind? Is our mind constantly a state of worry? Is our mind constantly thinking good thoughts, bad thoughts? Right? Are there nutritional deficiencies? Are we not thinking enough about ourselves? So let's start that whole process out of working around all these things. And it will take a while because we need to understand it took you so many years to get to where you are right now. You can't say that 1 month mein ho jayega, 2 months mein ho jayega. You need to give it the same amount of time to reverse as well. Right?
Actually, I wanted to add something here, which is very important again, that take your PCOS reversal or management in terms of healing yourself inside out rather than focusing on a weight loss.
Yes.
Because what women do is, what I've seen from experience, 90% of them is like, ma'am, weight loss ho jayega na. So I tell them that weight gain is probably one of your symptoms of your hormonal imbalance. So we don't have to hit the symptom, you have to hit the root cause, and you will not even realize when you're losing all that weight. So don't focus on a weight loss, focus on the PCOS root cause. And everybody could have it differently, Ashin, for me, it was that I have realized over the years, I love to journal, I love to keep notes. And I've realized from my earlier notes and the way I've been living is that I'm very susceptible to stress. Agar mujhe koi zyada stress de dega na, I will start to feel that in my hormones.
Yes.
And I will be more prone to losing the weight rather than gaining the weight.
Okay.
But there are women who gain the weight when they're stressed, or the stress doesn't affect them too much, but the food affects them. So you have to write down that what is it that is very, very like top 2 things that are affecting you.
Love it. So start figuring out what your triggers are, what are the things that affect you, and start working on this. Nidhi, we're coming to the end of our podcast, and I love the fact that we are trying to normalize this discussion, making this change. And everybody listening to this, reach out to your friends, ask them. Right? Share this with your friends because this conversation has to be normalized. We have to keep talking to people about our PCOS, if we have symptoms or not, right? And if we are guys, reach out to your women friends, right? Talk to them, right? Say that I heard this podcast. It's very interesting. Tell me more. I would much rather hearing it from you as a friend than some people talking about it on a podcast. Make that conversation normal. Okay, Nidhi, how can people reach out to you? How can people get in touch with you?
So they can find me on Instagram, where we have a big following and a big club of people. It's called PCOS Club India. You can also reach out to me at www.pcosclubindia.com. We also have a Facebook page. So anywhere you feel comfortable, just write to me or reach out to me and DM me on Instagram if you like.
All right, lovely. So all your questions, please shoot it at Nidhi. Find out a little bit more about yourself and get the conversation going. Thank you, Nidhi, so much for joining us. And we're going to be doing a second episode. So guys, please join in for that, because that is about Nidhi's journey. And I know a lot of us will be able to connect with it. So stay tuned for the next podcast that's going to be coming up.
Thanks, you, Ashin. I loved speaking about PCOS today. I hope people can normalize this discussion and take the message forward. Thank you so much for inviting.
Thank you. My pleasure. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashtin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome180.
I hope you enjoyed that show. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Intel, for supporting us. Great week on the network. If you haven't been listening, why haven't you been listening? You should be listening. Rohan Joshi was on Uncle Please Sit, discussed the toxicity of the Indian pop culture. Really fun conversation to listen to. Rajiv Samant, the founder of Sula Wines, was on Cyrus Says. Again, I think that was a fun conversation. Also want to call out the season finale of Yuddha. Yuddha is our military history podcast. Definitely do check that out. It's a really great listen. And finally, I want to just remind you all that, it's a dark time, but if you need a smile, go check out the Smile India podcast by Shifa Mehta. It's in both English and Hindi, and I think that you will really enjoy the kinds of things that she's talking about there. And with that, I hope to see you again next week.
Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta. I'm B50 on Twitter. I am the host of Paisa Vaisa, the show that talks money. On my show, I speak to experts from every field of money and finance, from stock markets, equities, debt funds, credit cards, life insurance, every possible area of money and finance that you can think of. We even did an episode on cryptocurrency. I've got fantastic guests from mutual funds to personal finance experts everywhere. Robo-advisory, startups, just name it, we've got it. At Paisa Vaisa, we help you make smart decisions about money. You work hard for money. Now make your money work hard for you. New episodes out every Monday, and you can listen to my show on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you have.